Hey, everybody, and we are live with episode 213 of Hot Jobs, where Tara and I share the week's hottest jobs, internships, and career search advice. Thanks for joining today, Tara.
Yeah, happy to be here. Hope everyone's had a good Tuesday so far. And make sure you drop in the comments where you are from. And remember, roles you are looking for, specific locations, be as specific as possible.
Yes, help us and everybody else that tunes in, help you.
Yeah.
Let us know what jobs you're looking for, where you want to do it. Very important. And please don't just say remote, something remote. That doesn't work that way.
No, it does
Now, I
not
do
work.
want to thank our sponsors first. I want you to take a look right there. You can barely see that right there. But I do want to thank our sponsors, Sony, and their new OTC over-the-counter hearing aids. These hearing aids improve quality of life for people with mild to moderate hearing loss. They are FDA cleared, self-fitting, and customizable. They prioritize ease of use, comfortable, discreet, and stylish. Wire-free design with one-step insertion, and the C20 model is rechargeable. And so your insurance or health savings account may even cover the cost of them. There are even discounts for veterans through ID.me, and they can be purchased at Sony.com or via Amazon. And I do want you to see, like, you can barely see that in the ear right there. Even what I thought was an antenna, I found out wasn't really an antenna. It's actually the thing to pull on to take them out. They fit in so well. So, and if you're not interested, if you're not sure if you need them or not, I do recommend people go to Sony.com or search on Google for their hearing test. They have an online hearing test that doesn't connect. It doesn't collect your personal information, so you're not, like beep beep beep, and you can just test to see if it would help you or not. So we've got some people joining. We've got Michael saying thanks for doing this again. Michael, we do this every Tuesday at 2 p.m. and Thursdays at 2 p.m. is my office hours from my page. Entry-level information technology. Something is missing there, Christopher.
Location, please.
What it is, yep.
Location,
and then
please.
We've got Jacob. Thanks for joining us. And we've got LinkedIn user. So looking for project manager, environmental safety in Huntsville, Redstone Arsenal. I would check your permissions on who can you see your profile and make it all if you get a chance. And then fully clearable TSSCI and beyond, looking for CONUS Modern Standard Arabic Linguist. Fully clearable to TSSCI means you probably don't have a clearance or you had one once. But thanks for joining us again, Jacob. So before we get into the jobs, and again, please come in with any questions you have along the way. I want to address something that came up today, and I was, very happy with how it happened. It was an engagement with someone on LinkedIn that was complaining about ghosting. And they were saying, like, what's up with recruiters ghosting all day today, all the time? They call or they email, they ask for my resume, I send, I hear nothing back, and it's just ghosting everywhere. And I kind of reached out to them and I said, one, that's not ghosting. Ghosting is interviews, right? What they sent was a request, hey, we might be interested, send us your resume, right? And they sent the resume and clearly they weren't interested. You didn't check all the blocks or somebody else came that was better. It happens. Ghosting is when you've done multiple interviews and then they just don't respond to your check-ins and never give you feedback. That is ghosting. So that's one thing. Second thing I said is that you are perpetuating a downward spiral when you start complaining on LinkedIn or in social media in general. No, first of all, complaining about recruiters, no recruiter is going to say that and see that and say, oh my God, I got to hire this person. Let me check if they're qualified.
Yeah.
Two, just the fact that you're complaining publicly doesn't make anybody say, oh my God, I got to hire this person. I want to check them out, right? And so we know that it's a tough market out there, but I just want to remind people to put your positive foot forward, talk about the great things you're doing, highlight successes, highlight past experiences or past accomplishments in a way that make people want to learn more. But I've never seen a high performer publicly complain, especially like on social media. So I know people are thinking, hey, well, I want to change the system, whatever. You're not changing the system with a post, right? Go get a great job and change the system in your company. How about that? I'll turn it that way. Tara, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is a little bit of a slippery slope, like you had mentioned, Mike. The outward complaining is not drawing positive attention to you as a candidate. And it's certainly okay to voice frustrations, but I would do that privately with close friends and not online. And there's a saying that I was just thinking about when we were talking about this, and it's say it, forget it, write it, regret it. And so you want to maybe just say it to close friends, maybe voice some concerns, someone who can be a sounding board, maybe a mentor would be appropriate. Because listen, the job market can be tough and things like this happen. I also don't think that we can blame the entire recruiters at every firm. Having been in those shoes, it can be challenging. They're humans too. They make mistakes. They may have forgotten to follow up. But I think when we're drawing negative attention to ourselves online, like you said, Mike, no one is seeing that post and saying, hey, let me give this person a chance. And it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of introspection to just take that, have a pause before we hit post. Yeah. So I think when we're talking about like your professional persona online, it should only be positive. It should only be highlight reel level.
Yep, I agree. So we got some comments here. I will say, Lionel, mid-management. Like mid-management of what? Construction management? Is it IT management? Is it software development management? Is it medical management? So like I want to be the mid guy in charge. Doesn't cut it. So I would ask you to refine that a little bit. And we do have Jamie joining from the UK. We do not mind. We welcome you. Just keep in mind that I often say if we give specific advice to applying for jobs, it is typically for the US. I know there are some things different overseas. And then we've got Christopher, recent grad, master's in cybersecurity, looking for entry-level positions. Again, you didn't, I guess, cybersecurity, something to keep in mind. And then we've got Joseph saying entry-level project coordinator roles, master's in project management, looking at any industry. That doesn't help either realistically. So I always get interested too, because now you've got an experienced hire with a master's in project management looking for an entry-level project coordinator role. That doesn't, to me, there's a little confusion there. And then there aren't typically generic project management. Again, this is people being in charge. Could you be a construction project manager, a medical, an aviation, an IT project manager? I'm guessing there's no's in there for some of them. So let's dial it in a little bit. And then we've got an aviation manic. Blake, thanks for joining us. Always tell people, recommend to reach out to my friend Nicholas Ammons, Ammons. He's the CEO of an aviation company, and he'll give you some great advice. All right, so let's get into a couple of the other topics. The second topic is an easy one. That's profile pictures. And I just tell people, and this is primarily for our community, but it is the most important piece of your profile. And what I mean by that is people are human. We're all human. We take an immediate impression from a profile picture, whether we want it or not. Biases exist, whether we want them or not. Like, this is the world we have and the world we wish we saw, right? And the profile picture will play a role in whether people accept your connection requests, whether they engage in your content, whether they consider you for interviews. If you look pissed off, like the typical official military photo with the, 94% of the population never served, only got their information on the military from movies. And what happens in most movies? There's a lot of broken people, PTSD, angry snipers. Think back to First Blood days, like even Top Gun Maverick, like people were at risk of dying from that. And so, I just tell people the most important thing you could do is have a smile on your face and dress for your job you want, and just put some effort into it. It is your professional identity. What are your thoughts, Tara?
So when I'm recruiting and I see someone without a profile picture, I usually assume that they're not active on LinkedIn. And so I think that's the other piece. If you are active on LinkedIn, then your profile should be complete, and that includes a photo. And I don't think it needs to be anything fancy, but here are the big do nots. Do not take a selfie in your car. Please do not do that. With all of the technology, you can set a timer. You could take it at, your kitchen counter, or like prop it up at your laptop and just have a nice photo with nothing behind you. Group photos are not going to work. We don't know who you are. And while we want the photo to be personal, we don't want it to be too personal, right? You should be dressed professionally. It should be alone. It doesn't have to be like a headshot. You could take it yourself on a nice camera and do a little bit of editing so that the lighting is correct. But it should look like the persona that you want to put out into the hiring space.
And the smile of some kind is so important, because you have to make people want to actually talk to you. And nobody wants to talk to the negative Nancy or, the pissed off, angry vet. So just keep that in mind. We've got a couple other people joining. Teresa says remote registered nurse positions. I'm guessing telehealth of some kind.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool. And then Terry says BS environmental health and safety internship, Washington State, which is a great place to start for CSP internships. Okay. Thanks for sharing that. And then Joseph said law enforcement and executive protection. I'm changing careers into the project management field. Again, like I said, there's the project management. This is a little unexpected pivot for us, or for me, is the project management field is the ultimate marketing scheme in a lot of ways. And I don't want to put this out the wrong way. I have seen when I was at EY where the PMP certification, with a bachelor's degree and relevant experience, was equivalent to a master's degree and relevant experience. So I've seen it work. The key is the relative experience, right? These were written in the contract that they have X number of years of experience in this kind of industry. They're going to do that kind of work, right? And the problem is that somewhere along the way in the last 10, 15 years, the idea that every leader is a project manager got out there, and people thought, I just go get my PMP cert or a PMP degree, and I'm automatically going to be a project manager making buku bucks. And the problem is like, I went through the training and I was a senior leader. You don't want me running your construction project, right? You probably don't want me running your software development project or your HIPAA medical administrative project, because I don't have the foundational experience, right? Could I run an Intel project? Sure. Could I run an HR project? Maybe, depending on what the project is. And so what I tell people is there's this marketing and there's a whole like training, not economy, like industry. There's a whole training industry. There's the testing industry. Like all of that is baked in where people are getting money to do this training. And I just want people to spend the time to understand the industry and the roles and align something with what, you got to paint a picture from what experience you have now to where you want to be, and make sure that makes sense. So that's my pivot on project management. And the last thing, we were talking about overqualified. And this is just a lot of people complain about being told they're overqualified. And I had I think it was Chris Dove or somebody else commented on my post and said, it's a real thing. Companies are worried about investing into employees that could get bored because it's at an experience level much less than they have, could be difficult to work with because they're used to being in charge, or will jump for the next best opportunity quickly. And I remind people that when companies have to replace an employee, it usually costs the company about 30% of an annual salary. Right. All told, loss of production, spinning somebody up, all the hiring processes, everything involved. And so if they don't last like 2 years, it's not a great hire. And so what are your thoughts on that, Tara?
Yeah, I think this goes back to the best candidate, and I'm putting best in quotation marks because the best candidate for the role may not be the one that's the most quote unquote qualified or has the most experience. The end hirer, so a client, the customer, has their idea of what best is. And best could be very relative to the market, to their current stance, their current contract, their current team.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of qualifiers when it comes to best. So even if you are that 15-year experience, PhD, all the letters after your name, and you feel like you are the best candidate, maybe you are overqualified for what that company thinks the best candidate is. And
Mhm.
and that is tough to have that conversation with candidates because they are a great candidate for a different role. And so I think just approaching that conversation of like, this wasn't what the company or client needed right now doesn't mean that even a year from now, you might be the best candidate for this role. But where they currently are is in a different space.
Right. And I share this. They are making that determination based off the information you give them in a resume.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the resume is supposed to be tailored to a role. So if you're getting told by companies you are overqualified, you probably need to take stuff off of your resume if that's the role you are targeting. I had someone say, "Well, I've managed people for so many years. I just want an individual contributor role." Okay, then your resume shouldn't be filled with senior management experience. It should be focused on what you've done. Like you could tailor the resume. People saying, "Well, they don't they say I'm overqualified because I'm earning my PhD." Take that off your resume.
Yeah.
If it's a bachelor's degree and you're pursuing or you have an MBA and they say you're you're overqualified, take that off there, right? There's a lot of different things, that you can tailor. And for the military community, just remember we count like experience as total military service, time in service, right? But out here, we count for years doing a specific job. And so if a job requires 5 to 7 years of experience and you say you have 24, you're not the best candidate, most likely. You are overqualified, right?
Yeah.
Or it just doesn't make sense. Why would someone be in this job for 24 years, right? So you always have to tailor your experience. And so just for Terry right there, I saw the questions. If you're looking for an environmental health and safety CSP internship, I would start off on base and then I would start reaching out to companies in the area that are hiring for those roles. And if you need to create your own, you could always reach out. If you find a company that wants to take you and they don't have an MOU, you can reach out to Tara or I, and we can talk to the company and figure out how we can host you for that CSP internship. And so speaking of jobs and internships, I don't want to spend the whole time talking about this. I want to turn it over to you, Tara. You've got some great opportunities to share.
Yeah, and we're going to start with a skill bridge role. So this is a new role just posted not too long ago, and it is for a sales solution engineer. Okay, so I know that sounds a little scary, but this person will have problem-solving experience, someone who is good at relationships because they are going to be customer-facing, and someone who has some technical expertise or aptitude to learn. So this position is with our partners at Maxar to join their DoD team. So this person is going to be interfacing with customers to provide real-time solutions with their technology. So let me just talk about the type of candidate that we are looking for. This is going to be on site, a little bit of travel in the Northern Virginia area. So we are looking for someone with a TS SCI clearance that is required. You know what that means. You have to have it. You have to have it or you cannot apply. Okay. So you do have to have that TS/SCI. They are looking for someone that has a bachelor's degree in business, engineering, computer science, IT, something in that realm, Python or Java experience. And like I said, the aptitude to learn some of their own technology. You are going to be customer facing. That means you need to have a good appearance, a friendly attitude, and someone who can represent their brand. So there is plans to bring this person on full-time after completing their skill bridge. And if you want to learn more and see the entire job description, you're going to go to our website on the jobs page and search for the sales solution engineer.
Awesome. It sounds amazing.
It sounds like a really great role.
I think a lot of people get turned off by the title sales, but this is solving problems, right?
Yeah.
It's not like I've got the best pen in the world to sell
Nope,
you.
not at
It's
all.
you've got these issues. Let me share with you some smart potential solutions, right? You're fixing problems. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so remember, that's a skill bridge role. That is a skill bridge role. So you need to be approaching your last 180 days of active duty service.
Yep. So speaking of, Shane says he has HR, disaster manager, project manager, logistic experience. Which should I put more effort into? I will tell you, Shane, Google USO MVP, like what should have been the MVP last season, Saquon Barkley. USO MVP, you'll see the schedule for my webinars. There's one Thursday at 7 p.m. You should attend that, and I will give you all the tools you need to figure that out yourself, right? You've got to talk to people in industry to pick the best one for you, not listen to what somebody else tells you. Tara, you've got some other jobs.
I do. I have some direct hire roles. So now this is open to all, transitioning service members, veterans, military spouses. We are looking for a couple of different roles in Dallas, in Houston, and in Austin and Denver, Colorado. So a couple of locations. I have 3 roles that require some mechanical expertise. Oh, that's great to know. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you. Excellent. So the roles are with our partners at Teal, and I have 3 different roles and various requirements for experience. So I'm going to start in Austin, Texas, where we are looking for a junior boiler tech. So 1 to 3 years of experience in boiler service and maintenance. So you do have to have a valid driver's license in order to get to and from, as well as some experience and electronics aptitude in the Austin area. This is a full-time role. I do have the entire job description linked on our website. And if we're moving over to Denver, Colorado real quick, we have a senior boiler technician. And this role is going to be someone with a lot more experience. So we're really looking for someone who can jump right in, at least 8 years of experience servicing boilers, and some extra points if you are a licensed plumber. Okay. So 8 years of experience. Yeah. So the more I'm diving into this, that's like a very normal thing to have, like a background as a licensed plumber, and then be able to work on boiler systems. This is new for me, so I'm learning a lot. So that role, like I said, they are looking for someone who can really jump in and be ready to go in the Denver area. It does not have to be Denver proper. It does not have to be Denver proper. The last role we have is a senior chiller technician. So we're looking for someone with some experience in HVAC. That's in the Dallas or Houston area. And that is a senior role. So we are looking for someone with some number of years of experience, over 5 years, so 5 to 8 years of experience servicing HVACs. Again, all of the requirements are listed on their website. You can go ahead and look for the senior chiller technician in Houston, Texas, or Dallas, Texas, the junior preventative maintenance technician in Austin, Texas, and the senior boiler technician in the Denver, Colorado area.
Fantastic. Those are great opportunities. I've got a couple more before we wrap things up.
Yeah, let's do it.
We've got a PM role, project management role, but this one is at Fort Meade. It is more of an HR project, to be honest, not a NSA Cyber Command Tech project. But what we're doing is we're helping transitioning cyber operators move into industry. And so the project manager will be building a lot of that, working on JCC2R to identify and reach out to transitioning service members, give them support that they need. So the key with this one is you've got to want to be able to help service members. You've got to be able to run a project, and you've got to have a full scope polygraph. So a top secret SCI clearance with a full scope, which is a lifestyle polygraph. If you do not know what that polygraph is, you do not have that. You do not have the required clearance. And so, if you know someone that has gone through that, someone that's worked at NSA Cyber Command as a civilian, because as military, a lot of times you'll get a CI scope polygraph, or has worked on the NSA side and has gone through a lifestyle polygraph, and they're looking for a great opportunity to give back to our community and stay engaged. Just go to HireMilitary.us and check out the opportunity. If you have questions and you have that clearance, please reach out to Tara and she will be able to point you in the right direction. If you do not have the clearance, doesn't matter what you mark on the thing. If you don't have the clearance, you're not eligible. Period. You can't wait 8 to 12 months and not have you working on the project while we put you in for it. And then the other ones are our DLA finance opportunities. So I am a big fan of DLA finance. They've been amazing to work with. We've got SkillBridge and direct hire roles at 6 different locations. We've got Battle Creek, Michigan, Columbus, Ohio, Whitehall. We've got New Cumberland, PA. We've got Philadelphia, PA, home of the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. We've got Fort Belvoir, Virginia, where their headquarters are. We've got Richmond, Virginia. And then the 7th kind of location is only for people with accounts receivable experience, either from an internship or a direct hire role, is in San Antonio, Mill City, USA. And so the types of roles we have are in the finance realm, but they're actually really cool. So we've got the accountant and the accountant assistance roles. They require bachelor's degrees and at least 24 hours of accounting and business law credits, right? But great opportunities there. The other 3 roles are super cool. We've got the business analyst, we've got the financial analyst, and the financial liaison roles. And really, a lot of those are building systems and processes, analyzing data to help DLA better be able to spend their money and support the warfighter. And so from a SkillBridge perspective, we've got flexible duration, flexible time, but they are on site, right? So you got to be able to go there, federal government positions. For the direct hire positions, they've extended the hiring freeze. They're still figuring out when they're going to be able to hire. What we're doing is we're taking the resumes, and if you're qualified, we're racking and stacking them. And so the idea is, as soon as they're eligible to hire, we will hand those resumes over, and they will use rapid or direct hire authority to get our community in there fast. They are very motivated to do it. They just have to wait for the time when they're authorized to do so. So if you are interested in learning more about any of those positions, you can check out HireMilitary.us. Check out the roles. And after reading the role, if you have questions, I would say reach out to Tara and I. We can point you in the right direction. And we've got Devin, who I see must also be an Eagles fan.
Must be.
Jacob, I mean, go Chiefs. You can keep going all you want. They went all the way home after the Super Bowl, not feeling so great. Remember, we pulled our quarterback and started Kenny Pickett for the 4th quarter. So that was an amazing game to watch. And then are there companies that either you would know would sponsor candidates for TSSCI and polygraphs if candidates were already cleared to the secret level? And the answer is not really. No, they don't just bring people in and sponsor them. You could get a job that requires a secret clearance, and then once you're in the company and established, look for opportunities to move to TS roles. You could join the Guard of Reserve for intel roles that require clearances, or you could apply to some of the government agencies that require TS clearances and see if they'll get to a point they submit for your clearance. So that's my advice for you. So as we hit the 30-minute mark, any final words, Tara?
Always go to our website and check out the opportunities. Make sure you review the job description. And then people usually say, yeah, I'm interested in this job. What should I do? You should apply with your tailored resume.
Yeah. I will always say is if you meet the qualifications, you have questions, don't say I'm interested. Just go ahead and tailor a resume, apply, and then follow up with a message or an email to Tara saying, hey,
you got it.
I applied. I'm super excited. Would love to chat. And, I'm pretty sure you will enjoy that conversation. And just, hey, if you're looking for SkillBridge, the first place we always get new opportunities in. The first place we go is our SkillBridge database. Same thing for jobs. We start our searches in our talent pool. So you can always go to HireMilitary.us and join our talent pool, SkillBridge, internship, or direct hire. And I encourage you to. Yep, or both.
You can go to both.
And so with that, finishing on time, which is a rarity for anything I'm involved with. Thanks for joining us, everyone. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. you.